point out that the sun shines down its power to all the world and makes the wind blow strong as it will. I wonder how gentle rains can fall upon the land, so lovely earth can stay lovely still. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 584th edition of Energy Week with me, George Harvey. And I wish I could get Tom Fennell back, but he's his schedule is kind of difficult. So I haven't been able to get in touch with him. Anyway, we're starting this show on Thursday, July 25th, and we're going to continue it up through Wednesday, July 31st, which was yesterday. And we start, I should say, this show is a news. This show is a news aggregation. That's the word I was looking for. It's a news aggregation on energy and climate change, and it has almost always 3 items each day that are taken from my blog, geoharvey.com, geoharvey.com. If you want to see a show, the material for the article that I name, you can go to it at the blog, go to the date on the calendar, and then it's going to be one of the 15 items that comes up, usually 15, not always. Anyway, our first item starts with a graph, and this is from Clean Technica. The title of this article is Sunday, July 21st, 2024 was the hottest day ever recorded. And you can see it at the top of this thing. Copernicus Climate Change Service said July 21st, 2024 was the hottest day on Earth since at least 1940, with a global average at 17 degrees, 17.09 degrees Celsius. The record was only a tiny bit hotter than the previous record of July 2023, but this July and 2023's are a lot hotter than all previous years. And I want to point out, the following day was hotter. And the day after that was also still hotter than the record for July 2023. This is not good. And I also want to point out, when we stop emitting greenhouse gases that cause the climate to change, the climate to get hotter, they will eventually allow the temperature to level off or possibly even go down. But the amount of time that it's going to take between the time that we stop altogether putting out greenhouse gases and the time when it starts actually going down, there are various estimates from scientists about how long that will be. Some say possibly 20 years, but that's the minimum. Some say over 100 years. So we don't know how hot it's going to get, but we do know that it's going to get, probably going to get hotter. So I don't know what we're going to do about this. All right. Our next item is also from Clean Technica. This item has title, Biden-Harris administration announces $4.3 billion in grants for community-driven solutions to cut climate pollution. Have a picture there of scientists looking at maps. The fact that this picture came from a photographer at NREL. NREL is the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, which is very highly thought of, by the way. The U.S. EPA announced recipients of over $4.3 billion in climate pollution reduction grants to address the climate crisis, air pollution, and environmental justice, and clean energy transition to the community level. Now, that is a lot of money that went into these community-driven solutions. I just don't like the word solutions for a thing like that, because we don't know what the problem was. And I'm sorry, I'm ranting about words. But the idea of $4.3 billion being given to climate pollution reduction grants is useful. I don't know where I'm going to go with that if I go any further, so maybe what I'll do is just go on. We have another article from Clean Technica. This one says, coal plants, this is the title, coal plants earned $1 billion for knocking cheaper Midwest wind offline. Now, this is the kind of thing that really, I think it should probably get everybody irked. A report reveals details about the impact of aging, uncompetitive coal plants taking advantage of utility and market rules to run at a loss over long periods of time while crowding out cleaner, cheaper resources in the largest grid region of the United States. Now, the largest grid region is the Midwest Independence, the MISO. Basically what's happening here is that the coal plants, the owners of the coal plants have found that they can keep wind turbines offline by supplying energy from the coal burning plants, which costs a great deal more than what would be charged by the wind turbines or solar or whatever. And they, by knocking the wind and solar offline, which they can because they're basically gaming the system. They're not doing this because it's good for anybody except them. They can prevent wind turbines from coming on, prevent solar power from coming on, so that they can charge a higher rate than would be charged by wind or solar, but sell electricity. And it's a shame that they're doing that. The actual mechanism is not explained at all in the article. And I tried reading the report to see what I could get out of that. I couldn't get very much. Nevertheless, the thing that they're doing is basically gaming the system, as I said. And it's costing a lot of money. What we need to do is to change the system so it can't be gamed in this manner. I will say there's one thing that they may be doing in their defense. Coal plants don't ramp up and down easily. So they may be keeping the coal plants going in order to be able to run them at all. And I would like to see that addressed, but nevertheless, we're up to Friday, July 26th, and we have a picture of a solar array in Colorado and a story from Power Magazine. The title of the story is Colorado Power Provider Will Add 760 Megawatts of Renewable Energy. Platte River Power Authority Board of Directors approved the utility's 2024 Integrated Resource Plan on July 25th, including the recommended, quote, optimal new carbon, end quote, portfolio that adds 760 megawatts of new renewable energy projects between now and 2030. Basically what's happening here is that the Colorado power provider is, as the title says, adding 760 megawatts of renewable energy. This is a little bit surprising, not terribly surprising. Tri-State has been having difficulties getting renewable resources online. I don't know that Platte Power is actually part of Tri-State. They may have separated. They may never have been part of it. But they are basically in Colorado, and I think they're actually north of where Tri-State is. There is resistance to all of this. That's the point that I'm trying to make. So they're trying to get to lower carbon emissions, which is not easy. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is to look at, this is kind of crazy, a Windcatcher 40 megawatt floating power turbine concept. These things have not been built yet. This article is from Clean Technica. The title is Bonkers, Wall of Floating Wind Turbines, Not So Bonkers After All. There is a method to the madness of a crazy-looking new floating wind turbine concept, and the outlines of the method have just come into sharper focus with a preliminary seal of approval from the independent assurance and risk management firm DNV. All right, basically, DNV is an insurance company. If you wish to, maybe it just is an insurance company. Calling it an independent assurance company and risk management company certainly makes it look like it's an insurance company, but they have said they're willing to work with this system. And it is a system that uses a bunch of, you can see it here, smaller wind turbines. You know, if you look at the turbines that are on the right, you can see that the blade, windswept area of the blade is actually rather small. Small compared to that ship? I don't know. I don't know how small this is. But because it is smaller than a big wind turbine, the windswept area of this thing can be very big. And, you know, you've got, I don't know how many, 50 turbines there perhaps. It might be much, it might be 70. You have a larger windswept area, and that gives you more power. Now, whether this is going to work out or not, I don't know. There is a method to the madness of crazy-looking new floating wind concept, and the outlines of the method have just come into sharper focus. Okay, now, I have skipped up to the next picture, and I think I might as well just put it online. This is from Clean Technica. The picture here is from, it's a picture of storm damage from Vermont from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. That building, that house that's on the upper part here on the left side of the photograph, doesn't look like it has been particularly damaged, but I'm not sure I would want to pay to have that house made secure. There's a lot that has happened there, and the eroded section of land is awfully close to that house. I don't know what happened to it, but it may have been damaged. Okay, the title of the article is How Can Hurricane-Proof Houses Become More Common Across the United States? A warming climate means stronger winds, higher storm surges, and record rainfalls. Del Tech Homes, a North Carolina firm, makes prefabricated circular houses with tightly sealed roofs and walls pinned to the foundations to survive hurricanes with 190 mile an hour winds. Well, 190 miles an hour is awfully fast. I wouldn't want to be in a house, regardless of how it was built, if the winds outside are 190 miles an hour. But they have the house basically pinned to the ground. There are steel rods that go up to the roof. They attach to the roof. The roof is a monolith, actually. It is something that is not going to come off easily. The house is built for 190 mile an hour winds. I don't know what they do about windows and doors and things like that, but you can bet that it's built for 190 mile an hour winds. And that is a serious approach to how you're going to deal with houses. Whether it would be useful in a case like this one, of this picture, where the house is really being undermined by erosion. And I think they would have to take that into account also. They're looking to make the house safe in whatever kinds of storms will happen. Anyway, we should go on. We're up to Saturday, July 27th, and we have a picture of a pebble bed reactor. This is a nuclear reactor. It's a pebble bed mock-up. It is the kind of reactor that the article is about. The article is from MSN. And the title is First Meltdown-Proof Nuclear Reactor Passes Loss of Cooling Test in China. A team of engineers from Tsinghua University working at China's high-temperature reactor with a pebble bed module claims the reactor passed a critical cooling test. In their study published in Joule, the group turned off external power to the reactor for 2 days. This is a turning off the power to a reactor for 2 days is a big deal. It seems to be kind of difficult to imagine, but a nuclear power plant that has no electricity can't make electricity for itself. And the reason is because it's either off or it's on. And it's a baseload power plant, so it's designed to be on, producing huge amounts of electricity. And if you don't have some place for that electricity to go, it's going to melt something down. I mean, destroy transformers and power lines and things like that. I don't mean melt down the reactor, but nevertheless, it could cause a reactor meltdown. In this case, they turned off the electricity to the plant for a period of 2 days, and that is important. Now, it addresses one problem, according to them. We don't know that it addresses it. I am constantly shocked at the things that nuclear people, engineers, say that turn out not to be quite true, like this plant will be up in 6 years and it takes 12, or this plant is going to cost $12 billion, but it costs 30. Is this going to be meltdown proof? I don't know. The fact of the matter is there are a lot of things wrong with nuclear power, and we still have not got a good way to take account of the waste fuel, which is a problem. And, you know, the problems that we have with nuclear power just go on and on. So this doesn't really convince me. Let's put it that way. Okay, we have a picture next of the Flinders Street Railroad Station in Melbourne, and an article from Clean Technica. And the title of the article is A Love Song to Smelly, Inconvenient, Glorious Mass Transit. Mass transit doesn't have a lot of cheerleaders. People love their cars despite the harm they cause, but who loves a bus? And who sees transit as a vital decarbonization strategy when EVs steal the spotlight? Yet people who ride transit emit a lot less carbon dioxide than people who drive cars, even EVs. And what the person is doing here, what this person is doing who wrote the article, is to say the amount of emissions that you get out of cars is high compared to compared to mass transit. Now, of course, if the mass transit is electric bus or something like that, then the emissions from it are going to be low. But even if it's powered by oil and is smelly, in addition to being inconvenient, the amount of emissions from lifetime emissions from building to decomposing this mass transit thing is going to be very much lower, possibly as low as EVs, electric vehicles. So, on to the next item, which is from PV Magazine International. We have a picture of rooftop solar, and we have a title, Data Center Power Loads Threaten Corporate Net Zero Goals. Data center power loads threaten corporate net zero goals. The internet, cloud computing, and the use of AI all fuel demand for more and more data centers. The International Energy Agency projects that by 2026, data centers will consume more than 800 terawatt hours annually, more than double what they used in 2022. This is something that I think is, we have a number of different things that are increasing the load, the demand that we have, and they are demanding more and more electricity. Data centers are one of them. Another thing that is doing this is Bitcoin and the other cryptocurrencies. We've got other things that are expanding to take artificial intelligence being the big one. They are expanding to require more and more electricity. And I think that we are going to have to do something to regulate this, because Bitcoin, for example, maybe I shouldn't say Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies in general are basically gaming the system. They don't do anything positive unless you invest in them and the price goes up. If you invest in them and the price goes down, then they're doing you harm. I think my own feeling is that cryptocurrencies are going to be a serious problem in the future, because they already have been. Some of them have been a serious problem, because the price doesn't always go up, it goes down. And I think, having read things like articles about the tulip mania, and in 1840 or thereabouts, people in Holland had become so accustomed to the price of tulips constantly going up that they just assumed that the price of tulips is always going to go up. Then it went down one day. One day. The prices went down over a period of time, but this led to a crash in the tulip market. Now, tulips are still an important agricultural crop in Holland, but you know, they were having large numbers of people invest large amounts of money in tulip bulbs, and the things that were invested were strange, like 12 acres of building ground in the Dutch city of Haarlem, which is not New Amsterdam, it's Amsterdam. No, it's not Amsterdam, it's Haarlem, it's its own city. Nevertheless, what we're seeing here, I think, is somewhat like that. The price of Bitcoin, the price of other cryptocurrencies is going up just because it goes up. It can't do it forever. So I don't know how to, I can't claim to be an expert on this, but it is sense that it can't go up forever. It's okay. We're up to Sunday. I should get out of that. Sunday, July 28th. And we have a picture of scientists on a glacier. And I've gone to the wrong picture. There we go. This is from Yahoo News UK. It is titled Fact Check. Did 1,200 climate experts sign a declaration denying the climate emergency? A climate-denying document supposedly signed by 1,200 leading scientists and academics has gone viral on social media. Investigations show that practically none of the signatories to the World Climate Declaration are actually climate scientists. This basically says what it means. It's going to be it's just misinformation. Misinformation it's free. You can make it up and distribute it for free. If you want real information, it requires an investment. And that investment is going to be doing checking your facts before you release the information. The damage that is done by this is something that can just happen. It can you put it out and it does damage, but it doesn't do any good. The 1,200 people who signed that document are not real climate scientists. Now, I've been watching this stuff happen for years and years, and the one that I keep coming up to is Willie Soon, who got into a lot of trouble because he, as an employee of, I think, Harvard, it might have been MIT, it was someplace in Cambridge. He had been writing documents, papers, peer-reviewed papers about how the sun was causing climate change to happen, not human activity. But he was publishing these things not in climate journals, but in astrophysics journals, because he's an astrophysicist. Now that's okay. The thing that got him into trouble is that he had been required to sign statements for these journals saying that he had or did not have support in getting these documents online, and he had basically said that he had not received, I'm sorry, he didn't say that he had not received, he just didn't say that despite the fact that he was supposed to say, that he had received close to $1 million from ExxonMobil, from the American Petroleum Institute, to write articles that would go into peer-reviewed journals. That's, I believe, misinformation. And when he didn't get fired for that. I've seen him on television recently, and he's, as far as I can tell, I shouldn't say that he's still up to the same thing, because he may be more careful than he had been. But nevertheless, no, it's not useful to pursue that kind of thing. Okay, now we have this picture, which is a picture of wind turbines in India. Those actually are in India. The wind turbines are on the rise on the right side of the picture. In case you can't see them, you'll look closely. This is from PV Magazine India. How renewable energy is leading the fight for nature conservation. Even though fossil fuels still dominate global energy production, the movement for changeover to cleaner forms of energy is building. Renewables presently provide 29% of all electricity generated, a figure bound to rise greatly in the next few years. The amount of renewable energy that we have in the United States is actually not very big compared to other places. I came across an article this morning, and it I believe will be used for this show in the next show, which said that for, I think, the first time, the energy used by the European Union from renewable energy, that was renewable, exceeded the amount from fossil fuels. And it was a substantial difference. We are all over the world changing over. It's going to be an interesting thing to observe. Okay, we have an item here from Clean Technica. This is just a wind turbine. The title is Wind Energy and Infrasound, More FUD Debunked. FUD is fear, uncertainty, and doubt. In a testament to the longevity of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and the ability of the internet to encourage stupidity, a legal action against the construction of Tilt Renewables Palmer Wind Farm has gone all the way to the South Australian Supreme Court. It lost. Now that they might go on to the Australian Supreme Court. I don't know. It's going to be expensive for them, and they're probably going to lose there too. But this kind of thing of spreading doubt, spreading uncertainty, spreading fear is something, first of all, I would say I have seen it, and the anger that a person talking about the horrible things that wind turbines would do was almost palpable. It was hard to avoid feeling what this person intended the people listening to him to feel. But he said a bunch of things that simply were not true. Here in the South Australia thing with wind turbines, I had come across articles 10 years ago, 12 years ago, saying that wind turbines did not cause wind turbine syndrome. The official position of the Australian Medical Association is wind turbine syndrome is real. Second, wind turbine syndrome is not caused by wind turbines. Third, wind turbine syndrome is caused by stress that is brought about by anti-wind statements that make people afraid. The people who complain about wind turbine syndrome, according to this idea, which is the official position of the Australian Medical Association, or at least was 10 or 11 years ago. That official position is that basically wind turbine syndrome happens because people have been made afraid by anti-wind activists. And that is something that they actually said. The person who was presenting the information actually said it. Okay, we're up to Monday, July 29th, and we have more wind turbines. Let me put them up. There we go. This article comes from Renews. Its title is Wood Drives 1 billion euros Renewable Investment. Wood Consulting announced it has played a key role in securing more than 1 billion euros of funding for its clients in Europe, enabling 3 major energy projects to reach final investment decisions. They are wind projects in Lithuania and Sweden, along with a green hydrogen facility in Spain. Now, that is just the material that came out from Wood Consulting. And it's 1 billion euros. This is a fair amount of wind capacity that's being added. Okay, now we have a picture of this article is from Clean Technica, and we have a picture of showing the air quality in London. And it shows, I believe, a change in the amount of bad air to the amount of good air. I'm not clear on what, for example, blue means, or even red or green. But this is from Clean Technica. London clears the air thanks to low emissions zone policies. This week, London published data showing the air is cleaner in all of London since the new policy went into effect. Concentrations of particulate matter and nitrogen oxide fell significantly in the first 6 months after London expanded its ultra-low emission zone. And basically what that means is that the air is better in London. I remember when there was a pea soup fog in London that killed, I don't remember how many people. I was probably 4 or 5 years old when it happened. It seems to me that it was thousands of people in London died because of a fog, pea souper they called it, which was not really a fog, it was smog. And it went on for a week or so. And it was just, it's horrible to think that people would die because they can't breathe, because somebody is burning coal. And in those days, which would have been in the late 40s and the early 1950s, I should have looked it up before this show. I'm sorry I didn't. The people would burn, people would burn coal to keep a room in their house warm. In those days, people in the UK did not have central heating, at least not normally. They would heat a room. Sometimes they didn't heat anything at all. I remember my father telling me when I got to England, the rosy red cheeks of the little children are rosy red because the little children play in nurseries that are 45 degrees. And you know, the people had very little heat. That's just the way it was. What heat they did have, what electricity they did have, came from coal to a very large part, and London was a place of just unbearable smog, I should say. Okay, we have a picture of solar power in Arizona, and I believe that is in Arizona. This is from the Cool Down. Arizona's largest battery storage project receives over $500 million in financing. A solar battery and storage company has secured $513 million in funding for a battery storage project in Arizona, according to Electric. The financing is for construction of a 1,200 megawatt hour Papago storage, which will be the largest storage battery in Arizona. Storage batteries are getting cheaper and cheaper, and I believe that you can have a 1,200 megawatt hour battery for a lot less than this, as a matter of fact. But different batteries are different kinds, and the ones that are the lowest are the iron air batteries. The lowest that I'm aware of, I should say, are iron air batteries. Now, this is leading to a different future than the one that we've had. We have an article from Renews, and it has a picture of wind turbines. The title of the article is Spain approves 28 gigawatts of new renewable sites. Spain's Ministry for the Ecological Transition and Demographic Challenge granted to 283 renewables projects the administrative construction authorization in accordance with the deadlines established by Royal Decree Law 23/2020. The projects had to be authorized before June 25th. They totaled 28 gigawatts. I'm not entirely convinced that this is 28 gigawatts that is actually authorized. It sounds to me like this is just a step in the authorization. But certainly they had a deadline, and they had to get all of this done by the deadline. I'm not so happy about that. I have a feeling that not all of this is going to be installed. Okay, we have a, excuse me. We have a picture of a car. It is a, I don't know how to pronounce this. I'm tempted to say Dacia, D-A-C-I-A, Spring EV. It might be Dacia or Dacia, I just don't know. This is from Clean Technica. New Dacia Spring electric car costs less than 15,000 pounds. The 2024 Dacia Spring EV is a small electric car with a price under 15,000 pounds in the UK. It may be exactly what those who appreciate the cheapest EVs want. A very compact EV with the lowest price and lightweight, a bit over 2,000 pounds. So this car weighs just a little bit over a ton. Its motor and battery are small, keeping the weight down. It is not sold in the United States. 15,000 pounds, by the way, is, well, it's less than $20,000, I can tell you that. Not a huge amount less, but it's probably 19,000 something. I don't have it down here. This does not surprise me. Electric vehicles can be very inexpensive. They're going to be more in the United States than they are elsewhere because our laws are different, and any car that's produced is going to have to live within American laws. Now, it may be that the Dacia Spring is not capable of driving faster than 45 miles an hour or 40 miles an hour, which might make it into a city car. And if that's the case, it would have easier permissions than if it's a vehicle that can drive on an interstate highway. There's a third kind of car called a neighborhood car, and I think they are limited to 25 miles an hour, and they can be put on the road, but not in all states. For example, in Brattleboro, I think we could put one on the road, but you wouldn't be able to take it out on Putney Road. You have to be able to go a certain amount, close to the posted speed limit. And 25 miles an hour is not going to make it. It's not close enough to what the speed limit is. Okay, I'm going to go on. The next item is from ABC News. We have a picture of wildflowers. Homeowners are increasingly rewilding their homes with native plants, experts say. More and more homeowners opt to rewild their homes, incorporating native plants and decreasing lawn care to make properties more sustainable and encourage natural ecosystems to recover, according to Planet Wild, that is Plan It Wild, not Planet Wild, a New York native landscaping design company. This makes a lot of sense, really. It means that you have the plants that provide for pollinators, attracting bees and butterflies and so forth. In Brattleboro, there are already a lot of people doing this. People who have milkweed growing in their garden, in their lawn, and you find this all over town. Unfortunately, you don't find monarch butterflies all over town. When I was 70 years ago, during the summer, I could walk down the street and see monarch butterflies. If I wanted to, I could find where they had put their eggs, where the larvae had hatched, the chrysalis, I think it's called, that the larvae, we would call them cocoons. They aren't technically cocoons, but we'd find them, and they would be an object of interest for us. It was always a thrill to see the monarch butterfly emerging. It was all easy to see, though. It was all very, very common. Monarch butterflies were everywhere. Today I celebrate seeing one. Sometimes I go through a summer and I see one or two. And it's depressing to think how we have fallen into a backward time. Okay, we're up to Wednesday, July 31st, and we have an item from Renew Economy, a picture of a coal mine, although this article isn't about coal mines, it's about the actual opposite of that. Coal giant signs solar farm maintenance contract to train staff in green energy future. Stanwell Corporation, the Queensland government-owned coal power giant and the country's second largest greenhouse gas emitter, is looking to the green energy future with new intensity after signing up for the first solar farm operations and maintenance contract. This is something that, of course, you would expect to find from a coal mining company that is state-owned, because it's not operating on exactly the same basis that a purely private enterprise business would. It's operating on the basis of public good. And when you don't have public good, and of course in Vermont and many other states, we do have corporations that are for the public good. But if you don't have those, most corporations are not public good corporations. They don't function in a way that would allow them to stop polluting, stop generating things that are not good for people and go to something else. Here is an example of what happens when in Queensland, a coal mine is taking a look at how it can provide for the workers so they can transition to a different future. And it's training them on how to take care of, how to build, how to maintain, and so forth, green energy solutions. Okay, we have a picture of a traffic jam in Denver. And I know that it's really important that we all understand what a traffic jam in Denver looks like. Heh. Okay, this is from Clean Technica. The title is Return to Office Scams Shift the Cause. I'm going to start this again. Return to Office Scams Shift the Cost of Business to Workers and the Environment. Commuting to jobs that we could just as easily do at home means pointless emissions, and eliminating pointless travel means an emissions-free outcome. Some companies have decided that forcing remote workers into the office could save a little money. And how do they save money by forcing employees into the office? Well, they have employees who work at home. They've become used to working at home. Forcing them to go to the office may mean that some of them will quit. And these companies want, in some cases, according to the article, these companies want employees to quit, and it's cheaper to have them quit than it is to fire them. Why? Because if they quit, they can't collect unemployment insurance. But if you fire them, you have to pay their unemployment insurance, which costs thousands of dollars. So there is the problem. And they are basically, this article is saying that there are employers who are forcing people to commute to work because they want them to quit. They don't want them to be employees, which seems kind of backwards, among other things. Okay. I have to be careful here because if I hit the, I'm trying to maintain two mice with different, that do different things, and I find it hard to walk and chew gum at the same time. Okay, we have an item here from Cathamarini.com. This is a picture of wind turbines in Romania. And it happens that these wind turbines are in a particularly windy area of Romania. The title of the article is PPC Announces New Wind Power Plant in Romania. PPC Group announced the construction of a 140 megawatt wind farm in the area of Deleni in Vasliu province, eastern Romania, a region of high wind speeds. The new plant is designed with 26 GE Vernova 6.1 megawatt turbines and will be connected to the grid by the end of 2025. Now, this is not in here because it's especially significant. It's in here because it is actually, the reason I included this in the material for this show is not because it's significant, as I said, but because it isn't. This is what's going on all the time. In the course of a day, there's almost always multiple renewable energy projects that are coming online. Some of them are big like this, Some of them are much bigger, some of them are much smaller, but they are constantly coming online, which is why today I had the article, which I believe is going to be around next week, saying that the renewables in Europe during the first half of this year, renewables in Europe produced, I'm going to say, 10 or 15% more electricity than fossil fuels. And the reason is because countries are converting to renewable energy. And as that happens, as they are converting to renewable energy, more and more they're kicking the fossil fuels off the grids. So more and more renewable energy projects are coming online. This farm being one of them. Let me put it back up. There it is. More and more of things like this are coming online, and more things like coal-burning power plants, I'm amazed. Natural gas is collapsing as fast as coal is in Europe. In the United States, natural gas is just beginning to fade. And by just beginning, what I mean is, in the last year or two, there has always been a certain amount of natural gas burning power plants that come online. But the ones that are removed because they're old have been just a little bit more. So the actual amount of natural gas we're burning, or the capacity that we have to burn it, is actually in decline. But it's a very small decline. So, you know, that's where we are. I think we're going to be in a growing decline. It's not going to be something that is going to hold off. It will decline more and more. But coal, for example, is in terrific decline as things happen right now. Coal has been in decline since it's for 100 years or more. The Navy started getting rid of its coal before the First World War. Okay, I'm gonna be giving you a new the last slide here. Wishing you to have an acceptably perfect week. You don't want to have an unacceptably perfect week. I'm just hoping you have an acceptably perfect week. So I will wave goodbye. I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to get in touch with Tom Fennell at some point in the future and tell you how he's doing. But I hope you come back next time, and have a good week until then. Bye-bye.